I'm Heather. Welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats.
Been a long week.
It has. How you doing, Ashley?
Um, I'm doing better today than I have been for compared to earlier in the week. I had to deal with some mental health stuff and some stuff with my family.
Yeah, this is the time of year for that.
That it is. How are you doing?
I'm doing fairly well, actually. Unbelievably, my fucking mental health is in a place that I never thought it would even be. I keep telling my therapist every week that I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then when it doesn't, I'm like, okay, maybe this is the new permanent state. Like, oh, might be kind of interesting, kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, it's kind of gonna suck for the dude I've been talking to here real quick because I like very clearly let him know the other day that I need attention and I need to talk to him. Like we haven't
Yeah.
had conversation over a month, like actual like phone conversation or video chat. And I have just made up my mind that if we continue with where we're at with the no communication, then I like joking around at one point. I was like, "You're only gonna get rid of me when you tell me to fuck off."
Yeah.
One day, but now it's kind of stuck in my head that I'm the one that's gonna tell myself to fuck off because I'm kind of over it. Like I shouldn't have to ask for attention from somebody that supposedly is interested in me.
Well, communication is literally the bare minimum. Hey, how are you? That was less than 3 seconds.
It's also
Like,
why I broke up with the firefighters. So why am I gonna
yeah.
try to start a relationship with somebody that is already doing the same thing? Like, no, sorry, moving on. You're adorable and I like you and I would love to see where this goes, but you made your choice and I'm gonna move the fuck on because like for real, it's not like I lack options.
Well, no.
I have options. I'm very, very determined with where I'm going now in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and I have goals. I have goals of my own. You have goals of your own. But instead of just having these goals now, we're actively starting to pursue them. Um, and so I just don't have a lot of time in life to play games with people. And so because I don't want just um, a friends with benefit situation, like I have a friend that I've already had a friends with benefit situation with that I could call and be like, hey, you want to hook up? And I'm sure he would be like, cool, yeah, let's do
Jump up
this.
on that.
But that's not what I'm looking for right now. I mean, like I said, if I have a need, I know who to call.
Yeah.
But like I'm not looking for friends with benefits. I'm not looking for a hookup. I'm not looking for a fling. I'm looking for a relationship. I'm looking for my person, my best friend, and not because I'm trying to replace you, but my partner, best
Like
friend.
you could.
No.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, I'm just at this place where it's like, I don't know. Um, I like him, but I'm not trying to hang out where I'm not just appreciated, but like wanted, desired.
Yeah. As you should be in that type of relationship.
And I don't just mean for my body because yeah, there's lots of guys out there that are like, look at them knockers and look at that ass and boy you're thick and they're like, ooh, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all of those things and still here's the bird.
Well, yeah. You have to be able to be mentally stimulated, have goals aligned, like, and really be seeking the same things, or maybe not the same exact things, but similar things. Otherwise, it's going to be temporary.
Yeah. I know that today we're supposed to be talking about prison because that was a topic that we discussed last time that we would discuss this time, and I'm not exactly sure where to start with that.
Okay.
Uh I know that pretty much people, just FYI for your future information, because of where I'm at in my life, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of the above, like the relationship topic is going to come up probably in every podcast because it's a big part of my life right now. Like I want that stable relationship and somebody that, whether it's somebody that is home every night or somebody that's on a, on a job for time and home for a time. um I want that person that I can just be myself with. And so I know that that's not the theme of our podcast, but I just want to make that little disclaimer that that's probably going to be an ongoing current through at least my side of things.
Yes. Remember, I want nothing to do with
so just know that it's not necessarily intentional, but because it's a very big part of my life right now, it comes up a lot. So back to the prison.
All right. So let's actually bring that around. How do you think that your time in prison has affected your relationships after prison, like your romantic relationships?
Oh, my time in prison affected every aspect of my life.
I know.
Unfortunately, it's weird because before prison, like there's a very clear line in my life of like before prison the person I was and after prison the person I was. Because before prison, like I have been through some of the most horrendous shit that people are just like, how can you just talk about that like it's like a Tuesday? And for me, well, one, because I disassociated a lot of stuff through the years. So for me, it was almost like it happened to a third party. So when I am going through it, it's a little bit different for me. Well, at least then it was a lot different where I was more like um, almost a third party to my own abuse and neglect and things. So it didn't hit me as hard until now that I'm healing things. Now it affects me differently. But before prison, I did not have fear. Like I just knew that, especially because of everything I went through, like that there was no way that anything could happen to me because I tried to take myself out. Other people tried to take me out. And in my eyes, at the time I was still Christian. So I was like, God isn't letting me go anywhere. So fuck this world. I can do anything I want. Nobody can take me out. I'm immortal.
To be young and dumb again.
But I really did believe that. And when I went to prison, it wasn't that like anybody did anything to like take my life, but it was like in there is when I started going through a different kind of abuse, the kind that I really only a little bit understood, because almost all of my abuse happened during childhood. Even though it was horrendous and terrible abuse, people still treat a child differently than they treat an adult that they're abusing. And so having my like human rights and dignity and everything stripped away from me, and at the point the clear defining of being stripped of everything just put a fear into me that I can't even explain. It's like, and then the older I get now, and as I'm healing and I reflect on all the different things that I went through and all the choices that I made because of things that I went through and how many times I put myself at risk, that I look back and I'm like, Jesus, I don't know how I survived that. I don't know how to survive that. I don't know how to survive that. And oh my God, how did I survive that? What? And then people like it's almost like a slap in the face too, because then I'm like appalled by what I went through. But then when I have to tell people my story and they look at me like I'm making some fiction up, like that isn't a real life. And I'm like, if you only knew, like, I know that I don't come off as that kind of person now,
Well, the way I tend to see it is how privileged you must be to think that that type of trauma is a lie, to think that these prison stories are a lie, because that means that shit never happened to you, so it's unfathomable.
Well,
so how privileged for you or whomever that is saying that.
This is why I added that little disclaimer, because it's like the firefighter. We're watching a movie, and I tend to get oddly aroused by extreme violence.
Yes.
It makes me happy, giddy in a strange way, and I can't explain it, and I shouldn't have to. Like the crap I've been through, I shouldn't fucking have to explain to you why somebody's head being blown off makes me want to fucking ride you. I mean, I don't know, but let it happen. Anyways, I use the description that my PTSD is very much like having been at war, because that's how it's been described to me over and over through healing. Like, holy fuck, that's the exact same. The reason you have CPTSD is because you have experienced the exact same type of things as soldiers that go to war through the most extreme circumstances. The difference is it was happening to you in your own home, in your safe places. So, like, for you, there's like no safe place in the world. And he would look at me weird. Like one day he told me that he was an ex-Marine. I think it was he was telling me to like, because the look on his face, you can read people. The look on his face was like, do you understand that I don't buy your bullshit type look? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Because for me, if you don't believe me, I don't care. Like it doesn't affect my everyday. If you don't want to believe me, go believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. Like there's no buddy here trying to go, oh, you have to believe every word she's saying. No, bro. You can also fucking do some research. Like life's not hard to fucking find people.
Like I was just about to say, a good name search in $7, you can find out just about anything you want to know about a person. If you want to go shady, you ain't even got to pay to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm just so I get frustrated when because if I open up to you, even if it sounds like bullshit, if I open up to you and then you look at me and you just don't believe me, I'm not going to open up to you anymore.
Well, that's understandable. Why would you if you feel like you're being judged?
Yeah. And it just, I don't know. That kind of is how prison was for me too, because all these people would be like, you're in here for this. Mm-hmm. Like you. Because I get it. When I went to prison, I was like 140 pounds. I was a skinny little thing. But anybody that like took the time to get to know me or even looked in my eyes, because the ATF and the DEA agents that fucking came at me were like,
okay, but it's even easier to figure out who and what somebody is about in prison or in lockup than anywhere else. Like, you really want to know? There's a guard that'll fucking get you some papers. All you gotta do is give up what he wants or get somebody to do it for you. It's so easy.
Well, but it wasn't, it was just, it's the same way as I experience now that I'm healing and I'm a mom that's just been a chill person for the last 17 years since I got out of prison, 18 years, whatever, however long it's been. I've just been, so they think that that person isn't a part of me or never was. And oftentimes people will push my boundaries to see how far they can go. I am a pretty patient person these days.
Yes.
But I will tell you, there are some days where it is to the point where I am like,
and that I have no patience when it comes to my boundaries anymore. Like I tried, and I fucking broke every boundary I had for somebody at one point. And after that, no, like, well, like you see people get close to my boundaries, and I'm like, hey, fucking stop it. Because I'm just never willing to feel like somebody's victim again, I guess.
With reason. I mean,
well, you know. Yeah.
But prison, okay, so prison was a twofold. Because on the one side, because of my ADHD and my BPD and my bipolar, having total structure was awesome.
Well, yeah.
It was awesome. Not having to pay bills or worry about what groceries I have to buy to feed my kids, or if I have the money to feed my kids, or if I have the money to pay the bills, or if my car's going to break down, or if I'm going to be able to get to work, or having all of that stripped from me was like, thank you. Do it again, please. But then on the flip side, not so much the like, because most people in jail, I hear them like, oh, I can't wait to get out to smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol or get high or whatever. And for me, that stuff wasn't important. I mean, the cigarettes, because I smoked back then, but now I haven't smoked in a long time, so I couldn't care less. But other than that, like, it was like, whatever.
I had to have books. That's my one have to.
Yeah, but you get books in prison. We had a library car that came in, a library bus that came from the public library, and you could request books from the public library like you can on the outside, except for it would take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When the bus came back, and you only could get 7 books at a time.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right?
Me and my roomie, Sally, went together, and we would get 7 books each, and then we would read them through the 2 weeks. And we would take turns doing different voices for the characters. It was awesome.
Right? Well, you got to do something to help entertain yourself in there.
Yeah, before I got transferred out and back towards the end of my incarceration or imprisonment, I had one of the best roommates. Like, we literally just clicked. And it was like 2 sisters. We watched out for each other. We took care of each other. We just did pretty much everything together. It was really nice. And I was still very toxic at that point in my existence. So we also spent a lot of time in prison making fun of ugly people, because you would be surprised how many ugly motherfuckers are in prison.
No, I'm not. I prefer to think most ugly people are in prison.
They are.
Bitch.
No. I mean, I say I'm toxic because I used to make fun of them, but the reality is like, we used to sit there and like look around and be like, for real though, like, all jokes aside, is the federal government, just because I was in federal prison, is the federal government just out there like arresting people like, you are an ugly son of a bitch, come here.
You do not deserve to roam among us.
Really, because if you look at prison, there's very few pretty people in there, and I'm like, how?
So there's actually a scientific reason behind this. Pretty people actually usually do get away with more. They have to be flashier, they have to whatever to draw negative attention. Whereas ugly people, it is almost in the back of our brain to be suspicious of them, because something sets it off if your face is too far off the golden ratio.
That's so weird.
Yeah, we're programmed to be judgmental motherfuckers.
Why am I not surprised?
Your family. Mine too, though.
Yeah. Well, it's human nature to judge. And I am that person that I'm like judgmental against myself. Like, if I walk into a store and I see somebody that's wearing something that I deem as inappropriate, and in my head, I start, oh, this bitch is wearing blah blah, and then I immediately, as soon as the like words
It's
in
like,
my head, I'm
no.
like, excuse you, you fucking cunt, because
Yeah.
you've never worn something that somebody else thought was inappropriate, and you loved every minute of it, and you thought you looked the best of your life. Shut the fuck up. Maybe that's making her whole damn day.
Yeah, I have done the same thing. Like a couple of months ago, I told you about it. There's probably 13, maybe 14-year-old girl in the tube top and the short skirts and the thigh high, and my mother came out of my mouth because immediately I was like, "What the fuck is that child's mother? What the fuck?" And I stopped. I was like, "What the hell is wrong with me? Her mom's probably somewhere listening to me. I need to go." Like, everybody got a little show.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
But okay, so I have a question. What is one habit from your time incarcerated that you took out that you never thought you would?
Making my bed with hospital corners. I've always made my bed because I have this weird thing that if you don't make your bed, your day won't be good.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting to the point where it's going to be my whole house because I mean, it's always been neat, clean, but lived in.
Yeah.
And not necessarily well organized. And now I'm to the point where I am like, I want every inch of my house detailed, organized. I cannot function in a messy space.
No.
And I'm like, who are you?
See, I'm like that, and it's the easiest way to tell if I'm starting to get depressed or whatever. Like, my space gets chaotic. The second my space gets chaotic, my mind gets chaotic. And then at some point, I'm just like, okay, this is how we live now. Until one day I'm like, no, it's not.
You're like, we're not doing that. Sorry.
No. We lived in a house where somebody let that get way too out of control. And so I can't. So I think my weird thing is even if I'm in a house I'm comfortable in, or even my own house, like I'll go into the bathroom, look around, like see everything, and then half the time I'll look outside of the bathroom again before I'll sit down and be like, it's just a habit. I don't even know what I'm checking for half the time. Like,
okay, another odd habit is that I cannot, unless, like I said, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but unless somebody I am like uncomfortable with is in my space or I'm in outside my space, I cannot close the bathroom door. It has to be open. When I'm showering, when I'm shitting, doesn't matter. The door needs to be open. And if somebody closes that motherfucker, I immediately start to have a panic attack. It's like, this is too small of a space. I cannot be in here.
Yeah. I think one of my other weird ones is I started smelling my food before I ate it once I got locked up, because prisoners do some nasty, nasty shit to your food, and sometimes prisoners are in charge of making the food for juveniles and younger delinquents and stuff within the centers. You smell your food, and now, even though I'm not afraid of anybody doing something to my food, it's just a habit. I have to smell it before I eat it.
I do that with pretty much everything anyways. I mean, everything. What I drink, what I eat, my weed.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely do
the nose knows, man. That's across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's another reason why I don't really fuck with dairy, because not only does it upset my stomach usually, but also when I smell dairy, I can't, unless it's like rancid, I can't smell if it's good or bad.
See, that's my thing.
It just smells not okay to me.
Yeah, I don't like milk. I think it is nasty. So when people are like, smell it to see if it's good, I'm like, it smells like cow juice. Gross. You do it. You want it. You tell me if you like the smell of it. Like my kid, he makes fun of me for it constantly. He's like, milk is good for you. I was like, milk is good for you.
My kid doesn't like certain brands of milk because he says they're too sweet, and I'm thinking, this is the kid that fucking stopped breastfeeding at 2, only to start again a month later, or a couple weeks later, a month later, whatever, because my grandpa died that he was super close to, until he was 3. Breast milk is like the sweetest fucking milk, and he doesn't like some brands because it's a little too sweet cow milk. I'm like, fucking
Yeah, my kid drinks Lactaid, and I think that stuff is so sweet. So sweet.
Never works for you.
I think, food. Do you still have any foods from prison or things you did with food that you still do today or that you miss?
I have things I hate.
Okay. Okay, I have things I miss. So, what did you hate?
Okay, so I do occasionally, like, I get a craving for spread sometimes. It's just a thing. If you've been to prison, any prison jail, you've had spread of some variety, and that shit's bomb. It just is fucking bomb. Especially if you eat it, like most people say with like crackers or whatever, but I gotta have Ritz crackers. Ritz crackers and spread, man. I'm just, but ham, fuck ham.
Oh, I love ham.
I can't eat ham. I can barely tolerate sometimes pork chops. Pork, pretty much all I eat anymore is bacon, carnitas, and adobada.
Wow, carnitas. You can say not the carnitas.
Well, I can't. That's pretty much the only pork I eat these days. I'm not about it.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things was Doritos or Cheetos soaked in grape jelly, a little bit of soy sauce. I know it sounds weird. It turns into teriyaki because the soy sauce was so salty. Or the Dorito, and then you shake it in a bag with refried beans, and then you make a burrito. It was so good, so good.
That just grossed me out.
I know, but the food we like is different.
I'm aware,
unless it's Mexican.
I'm aware. That just grossed me the fuck out.
Oh, yummy.
I know they made lots of stuff in jail that I was like, no. I will tell you, their cheesecake in fucking prison is bomb. And
never had cheesecake.
And their popcorn balls are better than any popcorn balls you can get out here.
Yeah, they got a lot of shit better.
I am gonna have to one day get off my keister and make some prison style popcorn balls because it ain't hard. And it's easier for us to get a hold of the fucking ingredients,
right? No bribing the guards. You just gotta go pay for it at a store now.
Well, we didn't have to bribe the guards, but you definitely had to get like 8 or 10 people owing you money, and everybody order their limit of butter and caramel.
Yeah,
because they only like let you get like 20 caramel pieces and like 5, I think, teaspoons of butter.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we were at Coffee Creek, it was the individual little butter things. They're like, there.
Yeah.
Open it in front of us. Literally, you needed to use it right then because you couldn't take the package back in.
Oh no, ours could go back, and they're little the sealed ones.
Sealed butter. They didn't care at all. But we were dicks in our boss. So.
Also, like the day I got to prison where I had to start work, because everybody has to either do 2 months in the kitchen or 2 months in HVAC if there's no room in the kitchen, or if you can't be in the kitchen because of allergies.
Yeah.
My very first day I was on the line, and the guard in charge of the kitchen liked my attitude or whatever so much, he was like, do you want to work in the bakery? It's a pay raise, and it's exceedingly hot in there, and you're locked in all day, but you can also eat anything in there, you just can't take anything out. Oh my god.
And you know what's funny? In lockup and in hospitals, I've noticed that kitchen staff have to be at least cordial. They have to be able to get along. They have to, like, whatever. Every other outside kitchen I've worked at, like nursing homes, restaurants, that kitchen staff is mean. Mean as hell. They are the ex-convicts coming out being like, now they'll let me play with knives. I'm a cook.
In prison, you don't want to be mean in the kitchen.
Well, no, you want that job. Like, it's a privilege and it gets you out of your cell.
No, you don't want that fucking job. But you want to be nice in that fucking job so that you get the job that you want. Because if you piss the kitchen staff off, guess where you're never leaving? And you're never leaving a grade 1 pay raise either, which means you're earning 5 cents a fucking month for the rest of your fucking time in prison.
So, yeah. I like the kitchen.
For slave labor.
As long as they let me eat. Honestly, like, it's my job now, and it's still one of my rules. You want me to cook for other people? I'm gonna eat.
Oh no,
I'm gonna eat good.
See, only the baking staff got to eat. That was the thing. Everybody else had to eat just their regular.
You ain't gonna have me around food all day and not get me any. Not enough.
And you weren't around it all day. If you were kitchen staff, like they had actual like people working the kitchen. The bakers were inmates, but they had an actual like kitchen crew because they had to supervise what ingredients we got into the bakery and stuff. But they made the food, the main part of the food. Probably because, they put ingredients in prisoners' food to make sure you supposedly don't have a libido and all these things.
Saltpeter?
Some of us, it doesn't matter what you do to us, our libido will never go away. But I was one of those people, you hear the people that come into prison and they're like, oh, I'm gay for this day, straight at the gate. And I was bisexual when I got in, and I was like, I'm golden. I think I just am going to worship this treasure of a body all for myself the whole time I'm here.
Well, and that was the very odd thing for me, like, while I was locked up. I usually prefer women. Not there, I didn't. Gross, you need to shower, you need nasty. You're bleeding all over yourself without washing it. It's not punishing the guards, it's punishing everybody around you. Like,
how can you say that?
Exactly, it's nasty. It almost turned me straight.
Yeah. See, when you're walking down the prison corridor, and the showers are at intervals in the corridor, like the rooms are on this side, and then every so often there's a shower stall on the other side. Bro, when people so just what happens when you're in a hot shower and you fart, right?
Yeah.
You want to die because that smell is amplified times a million. Well, imagine you stank ass, nasty bitch, and everybody's smelling your hot ass throughout the whole corridor.
Okay. So, for people that haven't been to prison or anything, think about a truck stop shower. Times that by 1,000, and a slime you're never going to be able to scrub off.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever used shower shoes. I didn't even use shower shoes when I was in jail. They weren't gross like that. Went to prison and I was like, yep, nope, I'm going to wear some shower shoes. And, oh my God, they had bathtubs.
The fuck?
People actually bathed in them. First of all, I can't do that in my own bathtub very often.
I know.
And I have to really scrub the motherfucker out of that. And I'm the only one, me and my kid, and, people I put in there are the only people in that motherfucker. And I still can't. I'm like, It's like soaking in your own filth. But imagine soaking in 5 million people's filth.
That's my thing about getting in hot tubs, like at hotels and stuff. I'm like, I can put my toes in and then immediately go shower in my toes.
It depends on the hotel, because if I know the cleaning staff, like the Best Western in Ashland, the Far End, I know the cleaning staff. So if you're in a jacuzzi room, because they only let the Mexicans clean the jacuzzi rooms, because they are the only ones that have ever passed an inspection all the way down into the drain on the hot tubs, I'm fucking hot tub in there.
I just got... My imagination is way too vivid for that.
Yeah, but that hotel was blacklighted while I was working there. Those hotel people that come in and they blacklight the rooms and stuff. Yeah, even down the drain they passed. Yeah.
Dang.
So, yeah, no, all jacuzzi in that room. There ain't nothing coming back up that drain into me. So, yeah, sure.
See, honestly, like, that's again something I took out of being locked up. Like, I've always been a clean person, maybe not the most organized person, but a very clean person. And there, I just took it up a notch. I'm like, things need to be wiped down, like switches, little things, like anything I can touch, anything anybody can touch, needs to be disinfected and cleaned, and maybe scrubbed just a little bit. It once or twice a week.
I was a little bit psychotic when I was in jail. And by the time I went to prison, I had calmed way the fuck down because my attorney was like, once you get sentenced, anything you do is going to keep you from your kids longer. And I thought I was going to be sentenced a lot longer than what I was. Like that attorney knew what he was doing. He knew how, because he was like, you want to wait till the judge, you want to be with this judge.
Yeah.
And you want to wait because he's retiring right after Christmas and you're a single mom. And so we wanted as close to Christmas as possible. Like he knew what he was doing for that. But when he told me all that, up until then, like I was fighting all the time. New girls would walk in and I'd walk up and I'd be like, here's a toothbrush, here's toothpaste, here's a bar of soap. If I smell your ass or I smell your fucking breath, I'm going to beat you into within an inch of your life. I don't give a fuck. And then I just turn and walk away. And people just be like, yep. Is she serious? She's serious.
Yep.
And she's crazy. Ask anybody. They had to release a girl early because she was going to kill.
See, and I think, like, one of the big differences between our stuff is your time was after you had kids, you were an older adult. A lot of mine, I was a minor and it was up in 2 kids. Like, yes, I had to be locked up. Yes, I had to be sent away to, like, Sinners and Coffee Creek for a little bit when they allowed youth. But it was, I think it's very different. Like, the effects it had on our family, I feel like, is different to a point.
It definitely was because, well, one, my family had to help with my kids because their dad was an alcoholic and ended up in jail and out of the picture. And then, deceased. But, for me, it was a whole different experience because, one, I didn't expect to go to prison. 2, okay, so the way my journey started, the night before I was arrested, I woke up from a dead sleep because I was in a rest area in my motorhome, from a dead sleep, screaming loud enough. I woke up even truck drivers in the rest area parking lot. And my dream was that I had come home from a run and my ex was frantically looking for my eldest son. And about that time, as I'm arriving, we receive a FedEx package to my ex's address, but with my name on it, and I open it up and it's my son in pieces. And it was so realistic, I felt it was so real that I woke up from a dead sleep screaming, but immediately called their dad and was like, put my kid on the phone now. And he was like, calm down. What's going on? What's going on? Like, the kids are at school. I don't care. No. Make it happen. He was just like, I don't understand what's happening. They just got to school. Like, it's early in the morning. Like, you better be driving. I'm paying for the cell phone you're talking on for a reason. Drive. Yeah. I need to hear my son's voice right this goddamn minute. And he was just like, and then that night was when I got arrested.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't even tell you. It was the hardest thing. And then to be like held and just drilled. And these people are just so fucking infuriating in your face. Well, if you just talk. And it's like, bro, no, that's not happening. First of all, you're sitting here talking to me about you could give me my motorhome back and I'm thinking about my child being delivered to me in a box, I could give a shit what you got to say to me.
Yeah, nothing like the universe to be like, hey, remember to keep your mouth shut.
And then to top it off, these people are just like, well, you do know what witness protection is, and it's like, you didn't know the way I grew up. You didn't know the abuse that I went through and the people that I have been involved with in different ways, whether it was through my own doing or otherwise, or through familial connections or whatnot. Like, that's a fucking joke. What do you mean witness protection? Oh, well, there's people. Well, I'm glad that there's people that you're hiding from terrorists somewhere across the ocean that don't give a fuck about random Billy Joe Wiener slack. But the people that are right across the border might give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they tried everything. They even tried to set me up, like, where they put me in a cell where there was another person in a cell next to me that I knew, that I was talking to. Like, I was just bullshitting with them. And then I found out later that they told that person that I was in that cell because I had agreed to testify. I never agreed to testify. Never agreed to any. I was there because they told me I had court.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they were like, everything's been postponed. They'll come get you when they need you. But really, it wasn't that. The federal government just does some fucked up shit.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They can and have gotten away with basically whatever they want. Like, to a point. It's very rare that they are actually held accountable for the laws that they themselves break.
Well, it's kind of hard to get for them to be. I mean, I know that they themselves consider themselves credible, but it's kind of hard to take them credibly when you look at, like, you're telling a story and you can't even get the person's details right. Like my age, where I'm from, my correct name.
I've had that discussion
where I got pulled
times
over
when I was younger. I was like, why can you charge me if that's not even my name? And I told you what the fuck my name was. Because I wanted to talk to a judge about you.
Yeah, or how, like, when I got arrested, there was 53 kilos of evidence, and then 24 hours later at my arraignment, there was 52 kilos of evidence.
Mm-hmm. Never frickin' fails.
And then, like, the guards are like, hey, Keys, that was some good shit.
Oh, no. See, that I'd earn life right fucking there. Yeah? I'm in here, and you took some.
Well, you know, you did just take some of the weight off my charges. But
I was like, insert middle object.
Trust me, up for you too. Trust me, I was not the model of the model jail. Like, they, at one point, they got so mad at me, and I was fucking raging so hard that they literally had 4 officers, 1 on each limb, to pick me up because I was still fighting. So they rammed my head into a steel door to shut me long enough to throw me into an isolation cell so they could shut the door before I was coming at them. And I did anyways. Like, they literally threw me in on this fucking concrete block because I didn't even have my mattress or anything at that point. And they fucking shut the door, and as they're clicking the lock, I'm already at the door beating on it. And they're like, this fucking bitch.
I remember being locked up while I was pregnant, and these guards had already dealt with me a few times. And I was labeled as unpredictable. And then when I was pregnant, they're like, what do we do? Like, because I couldn't play volleyball because somebody spiked a ball and it hit me in the shoulder, but I tried to go under the net after him. No more volleyball for me. Couldn't walk in groups because I grabbed some bitch by her hair for taking the last granola bar on the table. Like, yeah, I was mean and pregnant until they let me out, and then I was like, just feed me and I'm happy.
Yeah, I tried to unalive a girl while I was in prison because she was reading one of my letters as the guards, they open them to see if there's contraband and stuff.
Yeah.
She was reading a private letter over the guard's shoulder out loud for the whole room, and the guard didn't want to stop her. She thought that was amusing because the guards like to fuck with me a lot. And they had given us these hard plastic spoons because they figured that forks could still cause injuries, but you can't hurt somebody with a spoon. So you got a plastic cup and a plastic spoon when you went to jail that were yours to hold on to use. And I had this spoon in my hand, and I was just like this, and I told her to stop. And she didn't stop. And I'm just like this. And I told the guard, I was like, you better stop her. I will take her out. And like, me, my kids, my extended family. I'm not a racist person, but when I was in jail, let me tell you, I don't know. I have had this discussion before that I think that somewhere white people have in our genes. I think everybody does, but I think white people have somewhere in our genes like this racist Rolodex when we're fucking super pissed.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden we know all the slurs.
Yeah, because like some of the things that I said while I was in jail trying to harm another human after they got onto my last nerve for the last time, I didn't even know. Like, I've never even heard them, read them ever, but then they popped out of my mouth and I'm like, and it's a very weird place to be when you have Mexican kids and you're calling some Mexican anything but Mexican. Then you're like, oh, or some black girl comes to fucking step to you and decides she wants to go at it and run her mouth, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're gonna trade racist slurs. There's somewhere in my DNA. There's one unlocked. I know there's a Rolodex now.
I know it, like,
and I'm like appalled at myself.
Growing up around a bunch of natives, those people are the most racist people I've ever met in my life, and they don't care. They're racist against themselves and every other race around. Just,
yeah. I learned some things about myself, but that day, I'm just standing there, and I'm not even thinking about what I'm gonna do or anything. I'm just thinking about the fact that if this bitch doesn't shut her mouth, I'm going to find a way in this moment to unalive her. And I look at the guard and I tell her, and she looks at me and just smirks. And I'm like, oh, this bitch. And so she gets one more sentence out. And before I even know what's happening, I have palmed the spoon, like the curve into the curve of my palm, and I've got the handle coming straight out of here, and I'm jumping for her neck. And all of a sudden the jail is like, oh no, oh, you can harm somebody with a spoon.
Oh shit, you can harm somebody with anything if you're determined enough.
And they were like, how did you come up with that? I was like, I didn't. I said stop. They just were like, yeah, you're going to lockdown. And then because I tried everything to get to her anyways, like I tried to get out through the meal slot. I ain't big enough for a human to fit through, but I still tried. I still tried. So they were like, yeah, we're going to release you early. And she's like, what? And they're like, we want to make sure that you make it out of here. So since you only have 2 weeks left on your sentence, we're just going to let you go home.
Right. That gives you time to...
And then they left me locked down for 3 more days.
Assholes. Assholes.
They were like, just in case. Just in case she finds a way to escape. Because they actually, I almost did get an escape charge while incarcerated because they sent CPS from Oregon stepped in when my ex-husband was arrested for DUI and inappropriate conversations with a minor. He thought a girl was older than she was and took her flowers, and when he did, her dad answered the door and was like, why are you trying to talk to my minor daughter out?
Understandable.
And he was like, holy fuck, I didn't know. Yeah. But in the meantime, he still also was arrested under a DUI, so he was still investigated. They dropped the one charge, kept the DUI.
Yeah.
But he, in the meantime, they took our kids because I was in jail already.
Yeah.
And he put those kids through so much. It makes me so angry. And I still don't even know the full extent of what he put them through. But CPS sent me a thing instead of saying that the kids were taken into custody because he was drunk driving with them. I got a thing that they had accidentally put the wrong name on the wrong paper and sent it out. Like somebody else got my drunk driving paperwork, and I got somebody else's, your kid's dad touched your daughter.
See.
And because the jail didn't know, because it was sent through legal, so they couldn't look in it. They didn't know what was coming. They just gave it to me in class. I didn't go to GED. Well, I went to GED class, but I didn't get my GED. I already had my GED, but they had like a mechanical aptitude class that they gave at the same time as the GED class. So I went and took that. So I wasn't just sitting on my ass bored. And they gave it to me there. Well, when you're in class, a door's wide open and there's only one door between you and the outside world. I mean, there's a lot of guards in Central to get through, but there's only one door between you and the outside world. And I got halfway through father touched daughter and I was up and headed for the fucking door.
Yeah, that instinctual reaction.
I'm like, if I'm going away for life, I'm going away for life times 2. I'm gonna make sure it's worth my fucking dollar.
I definitely know the feel.
So luckily a guard that was a mom and was a good person, like she was human, she talked to us like we were people, not like we were. In fact, she said the only difference between most guards and you guys is that they weren't caught.
Yeah,
we're all people, we're all the same, we all make mistakes. And she saw me headed to the door, and she came out of Central because there was another. She ran to the door of this classroom because it was like right down the hall from Central. And she got to the door and she's like, "Where are you going?" And I was just shaking mad. I couldn't, and I just, a tear started to roll down my face, and I just held up the fucking paperwork, and I had it like clenched in a fist in my hand. And she's like, I'm shaking. She's trying to get it, and she looks at it, and she's like, she like waves to the other officers, and 4 of them surround me, and they're like, "We're gonna take you back to your room, and we'll talk about this there." And so they, all 5, the 4 male officers and her, walk me calmly as I'm shaking and about to lose my ever-loving mind. And as I'm walking past, I see one of the guys that I'm locked up with that I'm talking to via kites. And he sees me pretty hysterical, so he's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah. So I end up getting a message out that day, and my attorney contacts me, and they're like, "They fucked up. That's the wrong paperwork. Nobody touched your daughter."
Thank the goddess, whatever you believe in. Thanks.
And I'm like, bullshit. I have it in black and white. I have the fucking paperwork with my name and my kids' fucking name on it. He's like, and I have the faxed over copy of the real document, which I will be bringing to you tomorrow morning. Do not blow it until then. You almost got an escape charge today. And I was like, what? He's like, you crossed the fucking line of that classroom, and that is officially an escape. You are not in the designated area, and you are a prisoner. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, you're thankful that somebody was looking out for you, and the guard that saw you headed towards the door got to you when she did. Oops.
That is leading to something I kind of wanted to touch on. Our time locked up in juvie, in prison, in jail, like whatever. I met some good people that worked there. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some messed up, horrible things going on in these jails, and especially in your juvenile detentions, like what's going on with those kids. But there are some incredible people that actually really, really do just want to help.
There really are.
I remember several of my guards when I was younger starting to get in trouble that they had been in the same shoes. They were willing to sit down and be like, I get why you're angry. I'm not going to even tell you you shouldn't be acting like this. Like, when they got to actually know your stories and stuff. Like, I feel like so much on the news and on YouTube and so many things, we always hear the bad side of these guards, or like the horrible things that are going on. And I'm not saying that's not happening. But I think it's also important to realize that some of these guards and some of these people that work in these places are actively changing people's lives.
And on that note, I think that we should wrap this one up because I think that that's going to be a topic for our next one, because there isn't just guards, but there's people that work with the prison systems and the jail systems that are saving people's lives. And I'd really like to talk about that.
Me too.
So please come back and join us next week. I hope you enjoy our conversations as much as we enjoy our time together in our conversations. I know sometimes we don't have the popular opinion, like we've said many times before, but the reality is we need to get back to a world that can allow differing of opinions, even if you can't stand my opinion, and still being able to be civil and loving towards each other.
Yep. So, this was From the Minds of Raging Brats.
We'll see you next time.
So long.